How many types of data structures do you know about? I'll tell you a few. There's two major types of data structures. We have linear data structures and we have nonlinear data structures. And the type of data structure that you choose should always be dependent on your most frequent operations in the application and in the software that you're trying to build. Let's talk about these two. What are some of the examples of linear data structures and what are some of the examples of nonlinear data structures? An example of a linear data structure is an array, or you can also refer to it as a list depending on the programming language that you're used to. This is what an array looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is an example of an array. Of course, you can have an array of strings, you can have all of that. An example of a linear data structure is a stack. Now, a stack data structure is one of my favorites, but this usually follows a pattern that we usually refer to as the LIFO pattern. LIFO stands for last in, first out. This is what a stack looks like. I want you to think of a container like this, and then you have information that is coming in, and all this, it starts with the bottom, you go like that, like that, like that. What this means is that the last element that was added to this stack is the one that is going to be the first element to be removed from the stack. The first element that was added here will be the last element to be removed from the stack. So this is an example of a linear data structure. Another example of a linear data structure is a queue. A queue usually follows what we refer to as the FIFO pattern. The FIFO pattern stands for first in, first out. This is how you can think of a queue. I need to think of a queue as, let's say you have a container that looks like this, right? And this is a queue. You have, just think of any queue that is going somewhere. So let's say this is the main destination that they're going to, and this is where they're coming from. This means that the first person who came here, this is going to also be the first person to go out. And the last person to come in is going to be the last person to go out. This is an example of a queue. As you can see, all of these things seem linear, even in terms of the way you represent them. This is what we refer to as a linear data structure. Then we also have nonlinear data structures. Now, what are some of the examples of nonlinear data structures? An example of a nonlinear data structure is a tree data structure. I want you to think of a tree data structure as, for example, your family. You usually have a family tree. And in your family tree, for example, you have your grandparents, then you have your parents here, your parents fall on here, and then each of them, have the kids coming in here, and this already keeps on moving like that. This is an example of a tree. I want you to think of Facebook and how you and your friends are connected to each other. This is a graph as well, which is a type of a nonlinear data structure, a graph. I want you to think of a graph data structure. Like I mentioned in Facebook, you can think of it as a network. That network effect that it follows, that is a type of a graph, right? That is a type of an nonlinear data structure. Another example I can give you is a hash table. Now, we're going to talk about hash tables and all these other types of data structures in some of the upcoming videos.